So hi, what's up? It's your boy Sports Wizard, and welcome back to another video on my channel. So today I'm going to be doing if Finals MVPs went to the people that deserve them, 1980s edition. So, I made one now. This is the second edition of the Finals MVPs. I made the 1970s edition like a couple of weeks ago. So if you guys didn't watch that, you guys can go check that out. And also I made an MVP series, like the same thing, but with MVPs, like regular season MVPs. So if you guys didn't watch those either, go check them out. And yeah, so basically the whole, like, if you guys didn't watch any of those, the whole concept of this series is basically that, like, Finals MVPs are designed that, like, mainly that, like, whoever is the best player on the winning team gets them. Because, like, I understand Jerry West, he was on the losing team, and he was the first Finals MVP, and, he was on the losing team, but he still won it. But ever since then, no one on the losing team has ever won it. So, I think there might have been some people that deserve to win it, but I don't know. But today we're looking at the 1980s edition. So basically with this concept, we're not going to be, looking at like, okay, we're not going to be looking at the best player on the winning team. We're just going to be looking at the most valuable player throughout the whole series, and it's okay if he's not on the winning team. So that's basically this concept. We'll see how much that changes from the original results, and let's jump right into it. So in 1980 with Magic, he loses the award to Kareem. So obviously Magic Johnson, he was a rookie in 1980. He put up 22, 11, and 9. Kareem put up 33, 14, and 3. Dr. J also did pretty good. He put up 26, 7, and 5. But I would give it to Kareem because, like, think about it, because Magic was very well run, but Kareem had, like, about 12 more points per game, which is okay, but he had a couple more rebounds per game, and Magic did have more assists, but I'd give it to Kareem slightly over Magic, because, I just felt like he had better production. I understand Magic came in I think it was a deciding game, right? Game 7, and he dropped like 42, 15, and 7 or something. That was insane. But, I just feel like throughout the whole series, I feel like Kareem was more impactful. Because, Magic had to come in center for Kareem, and he was injured in that game 7, I believe. But I just feel like even though he didn't play the full series, I just feel like in the series he was better. I mean, in the games he played, he was better, so I give it to Kareem. Magic, obviously, he comes in second. Dr. J, he was great, but I just feel like Magic, he was more well-rounded, Even though he had less points per game, he had more rebounds and assists per game, so I'd give it to Magic, and then Dr. J. So yeah, 1980, Magic lose the award to Kareem. Now for 1981, Cedric Maxwell actually won the award, and he loses the award to Moses Malone. So Cedric Maxwell, basically what happened was that, like, he was his team's highest scorer. Larry Bird, he didn't score that much. But Larry Bird, he was more well-rounded. But I think Moses Malone deserves the award. But Cedric Maxwell put up around 18, 10, and 3. Moses Malone put up 22, 16, and 1. Larry Bird put up 15, 15, and 7. I'm just saying roughly. And so Moses Malone, I think, wins it because, like, comparing him to Cedric Maxwell, he had more points and rebounds. He just had slightly less assists. Comparing him to Larry Bird, he had more points per game, more rebounds per game, and just slightly less assists per game. So I'd go Moses Malone, then Larry Bird, then Cedric Maxwell. And the reason why I go Larry Bird over Cedric Maxwell for the number 2 spot is because even though he had less points per game, he did have more rebounds and assists per game, and he was more well-rounded. And I think, I think basically just impacted the team more than Cedric Maxwell to win the award. But even though Moses Malone was on the losing team, I still thought he was the most valuable player. So yeah, 1981, Cedric Maxwell loses the award to Moses Malone. 1982 Magic, he keeps the award. So yeah, so his stats, especially points per game, they might not pop out at you like, okay, this guy put up 35. It's not like that. But, like, he put up 16, 11, and 8. Which, I mean, points per game, that's pretty modest. But the other two, the other two categories, he was very well-rounded. Andrew Toney, who, like, I was going back and forth with him and Magic for a long time. He put up 26, 3, and 8. Dr. J also did pretty good. He put up 25, 8, and 2. So, the reason why I had confusion with Magic and Andrew Toney was because, yes, I mean, Andrew Toney, had more points per game, but Magic had more rebounds and assists per game. But I was just thinking, like, okay, Magic didn't put up that much that many points per game, but did it really deserve to get it? Should I have given it to Andrew Toney? But eventually I went with Magic because I just felt like, he was more well-rounded. And I just felt like he impacted his team more than Andrew Toney. So that's basically why I put Magic at number 1, Andrew Toney at number 2, and Dr. J at number 3. So Dr. J does not beat Andrew Toney because he had less points per game and less assists per game, even though he did have more rebounds per game. So 1982 Magic, he keeps the award. Now for 1983, Moses Malone won the award, and he keeps the award. So yeah, so he put up 26, 18, and 2. Magic also had a pretty good, year. Pretty good finals. He put up 19, 8, and 13 almost. Andrew Toney put up 22, 2, and 6. So yeah. Now, I put Magic second and Moses Malone first. Obviously, I thought that he should have kept the award because he had more points per game, more rebounds per game. He did have less assists per game. But I'd still give it to Moses Malone. And Magic and Andrew Toney, I felt like Magic would beat him because he had, more rebounds and more assists per game. He was more well-rounded. But generally, I just felt like Moses Malone was so dominant in this series that, he just deserved to keep the award. So, yeah, 1983, Moses Malone, he keeps the award. Now, for 1984, Larry Bird, he keeps the award. So, this one, he was very dominant as well. He put up 27, 14, and 4. Kareem did give some competition. He also put up around 27, 8, and 4. Magic put up 18, 8, and 14. So, yeah. All three of these guys, they've played fantastically. Okay, you know what I mean. But Larry Bird over Kareem because he had more points per game, more rebounds per game, but he did have less assists per game. And, but I'd still give it to Larry Bird over Kareem. And then Kareem and Magic, Kareem had more points per game and slightly more rebounds per game, so that's why I'd give it to him. And Magic and Larry Bird compared, then he had less points and rebounds per game than Larry Bird. So I'd Larry Bird, categories-wise, he has the majority in both Kareem and Magic because he leads 2-1 in categories against Kareem and 2-1 in categories to Magic as well. So I'd give it to Larry Bird. And like I said, Kareem, I just felt like he was more dominant than Magic, so I'd give him second. So 1984, Larry Bird, he keeps the award. Now, 1985, Kareem, he loses the award to Kevin McHale. So this might be kind of interesting. This one was there were a lot of great players. This time I had to have 4 because in the previous one there was only 3, but this time I had to have 4. So, yeah, Kareem, he was definitely not a bad choice for Finals MVP. He put up around 26, 9, and 5. Kevin McHale put up 26, 11, and 1. And Larry Bird, he also was very good. He put up 24, 9, and 5. And Magic was good as well. He put up 18, 7, and 14. Typical Magic numbers, but, typical Magic numbers are great. So, where do I start? So, Kevin McHale over Kareem because, he had more points per game, more rebounds per game. Kareem over Larry Bird because he had more points per game, rebounds per game, and assists per game. And then Kevin McHale over Larry Bird because he had more points per game, rebounds per game. And then Larry Bird over Magic because he had more points per game, rebounds per game as well. And then Kevin McHale over Magic because he had more points per game, rebounds per game as well. So again, he had the, majority against all of these players. So I'll give it to Kevin McHale, then Kareem second, Larry Bird third, and Magic fourth. So yeah, in 1985, Kareem, he loses the award to Kevin McHale. 1986, Larry Bird, he loses the award to Hakeem. This, in my opinion, by far, is the most shocking one. And now, there are a couple of reasons. Because Hakeem, he was very young in 1986, So, yeah. But anyway, Larry Bird, he put up 24, 10, and 10. Which, it's crazy considering the fact that he actually lost the award. But Hakeem, he put up 25, 12, and 2. Kevin McHale put up 26, 9, and 2 as well, almost. So, yeah, I'd go Hakeem over Larry Bird because more points per game, more rebounds per game, but he did have less assists per game. And then Larry Bird over Kevin McHale because he had more rebounds per game and more assists per game. And Hakeem over Kevin McHale because he had more rebounds and more assists per game. So, Hakeem, he has the advantage against all of them, so I'd give it to him. Kind of shocking, I know, but I felt like 25 and 12 is good enough to, make you the finals MVP even though you lost. So I'll give it to Hakeem. So 1986 Larry Bird, he loses the award to Hakeem. 1987 Magic, he keeps the award. So this is by far Magic Johnson's, statistics wise and just overall impact wise. And just mixing them all together, best final series. It's by far the best final series. He put up a shocking, not a shocking, but like an insane 26, 8, and 13. Larry Bird, almost in any other year, he probably would have won, Finals MVP, put up 24, 10, and 6. Kareem put up 22, 7, and 1. And DJ, if you guys don't know his abbreviation, Dennis Johnson. Rest in peace, Dennis Johnson as well, because I believe he died, so rest in peace. But anyway, he put up 21, 4, and 9. So, all great numbers. But I think Magic comes out on top. It's not a surprise. Against Larry Bird, he has more points per game and more assists per game. Larry Bird comes second. Comparing him to Kareem, he has more points per game, rebounds per game, and assists per game. And Kareem over DJ because, more points per game and more rebounds per game. But again, 3 and 4, we could switch him, but it's not a big deal. But again, the main point of that 1987 Magic, he keeps the award. 1988, the second to last year in this video, James Worthy, he keeps the award. People had Magic should have won the award this year. I don't believe so. I think I think his nickname is Big Game James. So I believe I think he can keep the award because he had more points per game, rebounds per game than Magic. And even though Magic did have more assists per game, whereas comparing him to Adrian Dantley, Magic, he had less points per game, but more rebounds per game and assists per game. And comparing James Worthy to Adrian Dantley, he had more points per game, rebounds per game, and assists per game. So James Worthy number 1, Magic number 2, and Adrian Dantley number 3. So 1988, James Worthy, he keeps the award. 1989, Joe Dumars, he keeps the award. He put up 27, 2, and 6. James Worthy put up 26, 4, and 4. Zeke means like Isaiah Thomas. He put up 21, 3, and 7. So yeah, Joe Dumars, he keeps the award against James Worthy because he put up more points per game and more assists per game. James Worthy gets it over Isaiah Thomas because he has more points per game, rebounds per game as well. And yeah, so that's why Joe Dumars, he keeps the award. And I did make a final score tally for this whole decade, and let's jump right into it. So score tally, Moses Malone, he wins the award twice. Magic also won the award twice. Kareem won it once. Larry Bird once. Kevin McHale once. Hakeem once. James Worthy once. And Joe Dumars once. So there was a lot of variety in this. Moses Malone and Magic, obviously, they won the most finals MVPs, in my opinion, in this decade. Kareem, he won one. Larry Bird, I actually expected him to win more than one, but stats-wise, he could only win it once. Kevin McHale, he won it once as well. Hakeem, surprisingly, he won an award and he won it once. James Worthy and Joe Dumars also won it one time. So I guess this is the video. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. Guys, I really appreciate it if you guys like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. And I'll see you all next time. Peace.